What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Ant217 and the Super Mario Brothers movie is coming out soon. I cannot wait. I am so excited. I know a lot of people are a little iffy on the Chris Pratt voice, but I'm okay with it. I really feel like the voice in the games is iconic and I love it. But only for a few voice lines. For a 2.5-hour movie, it might get a little annoying. But I'm excited anyway. To be honest, I'm just excited to have Mario in this new type of media. He plays tennis, he plays soccer, he plays baseball, he cleans the planet for some reason. There's a live action movie, and if you like it, and if you don't, you don't. Like I said, I'm just very excited to see Mario in this new type of media. So for this video, I am going to draw Mario in different types of media. By that, I mean I'm going to draw Mario in 3 different styles. Now, I've done a video in the past where I draw Deku from My Hero Academia in 10 different styles, but 10 is too many because I feel like I don't give each style the proper tender love and care it deserves. So for this one, I'm only doing 3. So for the first style, I'm going to do Dragon Ball Z. So for this one, I start with my sketch, and usually I would sketch out the whole pose and everything right in the beginning, but I feel like I need to focus on the face to make sure that I capture the iconic Mario look. And by that, I mean his hat and his mustache. For this style, the Dragon Ball Z style, it's so stylized that the characters all kind of resemble one another. They have kind of a character template, and that gives me a nice and easy starting point. But I don't want to just have him standing there. I want to give him a heroic pose. So I draw him in the Kamehameha pose. But he's Mario, so it's going to be a fireball. One thing I want to remind everybody that when you are doing your first sketch and when you are doing your final paints, make sure you flip the canvas. It helps you notice your mistakes. You can see that right in his back arm, and also he got baby hands. Everyone knows I don't like to draw hands. I actually hate drawing hands. It takes too much of my time. I need to practice drawing hands more. So to fix the baby hands, I use the liquefy tool. I move and stretch the hands as much as I can to make them look more proportionate. And now I move on to the inks. For this style, I use a variation of thick and thin lines. And I feel like to have a good set of inks, you need to have contrast, thick and thin, curved lines and straight lines, and things of that nature. I use thicker lines where I know there's going to be shadows, like under the chin or under the leg. And I use thinner lines for things that are going to be more in the light, like the top of the head. After I am done with all the inking, I move on to the flat colors, and the flat colors is pretty easy. I just use the standard Mario red and blue. But for the hair, I use that golden yellow because Mario is Super Saiyan. So his mustache is gold. Imagine if this was a real thing and Mario turns Super Saiyan and it's just a regular mustache and he starts to yell and the mustache just... Maybe I should grow my mustache out, spike it up, if it would grow. Now I move on to my favorite part. It is the rendering. Dragon Ball Z style is one of my favorite styles to work on because of the style of rendering. They use cell shading. Cell shading is the style of shading that you stack rendering layers on top of each other, and it kind of makes this harsh gradient look, but you don't really use too much soft shading. It's all hard edged. You can use as many layers as you want. You can use 5 layers, you can use 20 layers. I tend to use maybe 2 or 3 layers, and I do the same thing for the light layers. Somebody asked me before, how do I know where the layers go? And to be honest, this is something I also need to work on. You need to do shadow studies. Wherever there is a shadow, you can put a layer of that rendering in a real life photo. So if you reference something that has a shadow under the arm, you put the cell shaded layer under the arm. I also noticed that a lot of people just put cell shaded layers around the edges of their character, but there are shadows within the body, especially clothes and wrinkles, under the nose, under the eyes. If you were painting or taking a photo, there will be shadows pretty much everywhere, and you could do the same thing with cell shading. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that I did not do my background first. I didn't do my background before rendering like I always preach. It is not something that I have always done, but I have learned that it definitely helps in the rendering process. So you should always do your backgrounds before you do your rendering. And also, I kind of just wanted to do a sky background with nothing in it, just a blue sky. And I didn't really need to do that before the rendering. But I decided not to be lazy. Don't be lazy. Don't. And we cannot have a Dragon Ball Z style without his Kai, his Chi, his aura, whatever you want to call it. He is Super Saiyan, so I need to do that gold aura around him. And there you have it, Mario in the style of Dragon Ball Z. I feel like Mario and Dragon Ball Z fit so well together because look at the M on his hat. I just changed it to the Majin sign that Majin Vegeta had, Majin Buu, and all the other people that went Majin. It fit perfect. This is Majin Mario. I love it. The background elements of both Dragon Ball Z and Mario with those weird hills in the background come together perfectly to me. I love it. I think he could go on and take on Yamcha and Krillin. You know what? I think he could take on Jiren. He throws a giant dragon turtle bull thing by his tail in Mario 64 like if it's nothing. He's strong, man. I dare Bowser to come and steal Peach from him now. I dare him. And now moving on to my next style, the style of Tim Burton. This style I feel like is so iconic. This is by far my favorite style to work in. It's usually my favorite style visually. So for my sketch, I want to make sure that I get a more sickly looking character. And I know Mario is a little bit more chunky, but I made him a little thinner up top and then rounder at the bottom because he's a pudgy boy. And that's okay. I don't know why I clapped. He's pudgy, but he's pretty. Pretty and pudgy. Like me. One thing I wanted to do with the character design is to exaggerate the mustache. I love the way the mustache came out. I sketch out a quick background because, you know, I'm trying to not be lazy. Don't be lazy. Now for future reference, when I'm working on this style, I feel like I did the eyes too big. I feel like I need some space on the face to do the bags under the eyes. So keep that in mind if you try to work on this style. Keep some space around the eyes. I did the eyes way too big. Maybe the nose is too big. But something needed to be done for the face. But for now, I'm gonna keep it this way because I just like the way the mustache looks. He looks a little bit too cartoony for me, but I like it. So we're gonna move on to the inking. For the inks, I did also a variation of thick and thin lines. Now, you don't have to because this style is lineless art. It's 3D stop motion, it's clay, so there's no inks. But I am not really that comfortable working on lineless art, so I'm gonna do inks and then make them disappear later. Now, again, you don't have to use the variation of thick and thin lines. You can just draw regular lines because you're gonna make them disappear. But I do it for practice, and you should too. But I can't tell you what to do, but do it. Don't be lazy. Real quick, I love the rat in the background because he's always going into those pipes because he's a plumber. He plumbs things and fights dragons on the weekends. Everybody needs a side gig, man. It's expensive out here, bro. But I love the rat because if he goes down those pipes in real life, you're gonna find some rats. Not too many turtles down there. Unless he's gonna run across Michelangelo and Raphael in them. The Ninja Turtles ain't gonna let him stomp them out. Now to move on to the flat colors. Now the coloring in this style is very iconic. You gotta make sure you use the right colors and kind of muddy them up. So put them a little bit closer to the gray, desaturate them, make them look grimy and dirty. Now I don't think I went dull enough here, but I'm going to fix that later, and I'm gonna show you a quick trick on how to make your colors a little bit more desaturated later on in the video. Remind me, don't let me forget. Don't let me forget. So after I get the colors, I want to use a more natural style of shading, so no cell shading. I want to make it look a little bit more painterly. When you are rendering and you're trying to be more realistic, you should have references. I know some people say don't use the airbrush when you're rendering, and some people say they should only use the airbrush, but they're both wrong, okay? Take it from me, I'm a professional. I'm kidding, but listen to me. You are the artist. If you want to use the airbrush, use the airbrush. If you want to use hard edge shadows only, use hard edge shadows only. But for this style, I want to use a combination of both because in real life, you have some soft shadows in life, and you have very hard shadows in life. Just look around. Look around your room right now or wherever you are, and you can see that there are things that have softer shadows and harder shadows. Okay, so use both, but do what you want. This is your artwork. I'm just trying to guide you through. Okay? Okay. Now again, with this style, you want to make it more grungy, so I add a little bit of grunge to the background, and then I add some grunge to his clothes with textured brushes. And I'm almost done here, but remember what I said, this is lineless art. I'm going to make those lines disappear. Now, similar to what I did with the Dragon Ball Z style, I used the eyedropper tool, selected the color inside of the inks, made it a little darker, and then shaded over the lines in the Dragon Ball Z style. But for this one, I'm going to use the eyedropper tool and get the exact color next to those lines and then color the lines with that color, making the line kind of disappear. Now you have to be a little bit more meticulous about this. If you're gonna take your time, you can get some fantastic results, but if you rush through it, you might see some mistakes. So again, I'm just guiding you through. You do what you want. I can't tell you what to do, but take your time. So you keep using that eyedropper tool and switching to the brush, and then the eyedropper tool and switch to the brush, and so on until those lines disappear. Now, I mentioned earlier that I didn't think the colors were dull enough. So after I'm done with the final image, I make a new layer on top of the image layer, change the style of the layer to a color layer style. Then I paint the whole canvas black using the paintbrush or the bucket, whatever you want. I can't tell you what to do. If you have the layer style set to color like I have, it will make the image black and white. And then you can change the opacity of that black layer and bring it down just a little bit. It makes the colors just creep out just a little bit, making it look a little bit more desaturated. And here you have it, my Mario in the style of Tim Burton. I love it, but I do wish I would have made the eyes a little smaller, maybe the nose a little smaller, just so I can show more darkness around the eyes and make him look a little bit more sickly. I feel like a lot of these characters tend to look sickly, so you gotta make sure you capture that. I'm not sure if I captured that enough, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. And now the last style, the style of DC Comics. Now, I know what you're thinking. A lot of different artists work on DC Comics, and some of those same artists work for other comic companies like Marvel and other ones. So how do you know which style to pick? Now I'm going to go with the style that a lot of us associate with DC and have a more dark and grungy look to this character. I know in this style you seem to have more chiseled features and a lot of black lines, a lot of black space, a lot of cross-hatching. So I'm going to make sure I capture all of that. But I want to start with my sketch. And for the sketch, again, I start with the face to make sure I capture Mario's essence. That hat and that stash. Now I want to make Mario look powerful like a superhero, but I also want to capture his pudginess. He's a pudgy boy. He's a pudgy boy. All right? Some of us just like to eat cookies. Don't judge. He's pretty and pudgy. But I want to capture his pudginess and also keep him powerful. So I want to give him a nice solid pose, not too dynamic to distract from the actual look. I want to make sure I capture everything that I need to and have a regular standard pose. For this pose, remember, he is supposed to be a superhero, and a lot of superheroes, I feel like they showcase their gadgets. So Batman, he usually is depicted with a batarang or his belt or his grappling hook or his car or his smoke bombs or his robins. He has a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. Doesn't he walk around with shark repellent? The Green Lantern is usually showcased with his ring front and center. Wonder Woman, she has her whip and her bracelets, and Mario has his fireball and his star. For this style, you want to pay close attention to your inks. I feel like it is very important to have a strong set of inks for this. Strong line work for comic book styles is very important. Use a variation of thick and thin lines, have some contrast with your lines, and take your time. Once again, I do the flat colors, and standard flat colors, I need him to look like Mario, so I use Mario colors. And then I move on to the rendering. Wait, no, not the rendering, the background. I forgot to do the background once again, so I'm gonna do the background. And for that, I take a texture that I found online of some rocks. I put it into Photoshop, kind of manipulated a little bit with the liquify tool, and then I put it into the filter gallery and I play with all the filters there. Usually I use the cutout filter to give it more of a cell shaded look because this style and comic book styles tend to have some more cell shading, but you can also use some of the other presets they have there and mix them up. When I'm finally happy with those textures that I just put on the floor, mostly because I didn't want to draw his feet, I do a black solid line over it, add some cracks here and there and make it look more like he just had a big battle and the floor is broken. And also, I didn't want to draw feet. For the rendering, I use a combination of cell shading and also some painterly style rendering. This is the style I like to work in. This is the style I usually render in. And I mentioned earlier that you shouldn't just put your shadows on the edges of your characters. There's shadows all over the place. And he's a big boy. So put some shadows under his belly. Ain't no light down there. And you know what? You gotta put some shadows under his boobies. His pecs, okay? He got some flabby pecs. When you're done with your rendering, you're not done with this one because this is the style of DC Comics and you need to add some more black lines. Again, I add a lot of black lines where there's gonna be harsh shadow. So under his belly and boobs. But you want to make sure you add some of that black lines under his muscles, maybe around the eyes, under the hat. Anywhere that there's shadow, you can add black lines. And in this style, if you think you didn't have enough black lines, then add some more black lines. And if you think that you have enough black lines, add some more black lines, okay? Add as much black as you want. I feel like there's no too much, but well, maybe there is. That's why you should also put this on a new layer, because it is very destructive. And if you don't like the way it came out, you can just erase that layer and start over. I actually saved a copy of this without all the black lines because I want to work on it in my own style, just in case. I'll add some more special effects, and here you have it, Mario in the style of DC Comics. I love the way this one came out. Usually, I kind of lean toward the Tim Burton style as my favorite, but I think DC got it. As a matter of fact, let's put them all three together so that you guys can choose. There you have it. I still think DC has the #1 pick for me. You let me know in the comments down below which one you like the most. Let me know which other styles you would have liked to see me draw Mario in. And let me know if you're excited about the movie. Also, if one of these were gonna be a movie, which one would you pick? Would you want to see DC Comics Mario or Dragon Ball Z Mario or Nightmare Before Christmas Mario? Which one? I think Dragon Ball Z probably be the best movie. Make sure you hit the bell, like, comment, and subscribe. And the Mario movie is going to be awesome. I think. Thanks for watching.